Welcome back, my friends. Today I'm going to share with you two very cool recipes. First of all, how to make this epic zero waste grapefruit liqueur. And then second, how to use this in a delicious, refreshing and vibrant highball featuring grapefruit and coffee. So without further ado, let's get started. If you're new here, this video is a perfect example of what this channel is all about. Creative recipes and delicious drinks, which aim to minimize waste and maximize taste wherever possible, all while being really easy to understand and straightforward to execute. If that sounds good to you and you haven't already, you could always consider subscribing, which is a win-win for both of us, hopefully. It means you get to stay up to date with the content, and it also helps me reach more people, and hopefully help a lot more people make better drinks, which is what this channel is all about. So later on, we're gonna make a grapefruit and coffee highball, utilizing the extra dry coffee liqueur from this video's sponsor, which is Algebra. But first of all, let's make this amazing, zero waste grapefruit liqueur. This recipe is extremely straightforward, but it really packs a punch and it's a really well-balanced liqueur. So to make about 300 mils, which is what I've got here, you're gonna need 2 grapefruits. These can be ruby grapefruits, yellow grapefruits, pink grapefruits, whatever you prefer. You're gonna need some kind of sweetener. I'm going with golden castor sugar, but you can use pretty much any dry sugar here. And then I like to add in some acids to find some balance for the kind of sweetness from the sugar. I like to go with citric and malic acid, but you can experiment with your favorite acids. And don't be put off by these, they're actually really easy to get hold of. So you could stop there and make a delicious cordial, but what I like to do is transform this into more of a liqueur by adding a spirit. And I like to go with tequila. So first of all, into a big bowl, you want to add the peels from your grapefruits. Don't worry if there's a little bit of pith on here, that's completely fine. We're gonna balance this with the other ingredients. And a quick but very important note on grapefruits. These can actually interfere with certain medications. So if you're not sure or you're taking any medication, just make sure you're absolutely certain you can have grapefruit in your diet to avoid any future problems. So once you know how much your peels weigh, you're gonna call this 1 part, and we're gonna combine this with the same amount again of our sugar of choice, so another 1 part. Because my peels weighed 75 grams, I'm gonna add 75 grams of golden castor sugar, but there are lots of different dry sugars on the market. White sugar, castor sugar, brown sugar, muscovado sugar, the list goes on. These are all gonna have a slightly different impact on the flavor, but I think golden castor is a nice option. It's simple, doesn't add too much flavor, so it's not gonna overpower your grapefruit, and it actually complements the tequila we're gonna add in a second really, really nicely. After this, you wanna add your acids, and you wanna add 8% of the sugar weight in acids. So if we've got 75 grams of sugar, we're gonna add 6 grams in total of our acids. And to roughly mimic the makeup of acids in grapefruit, I like to add slightly more citric acid, so 4.5 grams here, and slightly less malic acid, so 1.5 grams here. You can experiment with different acids and different blends of acids, and if you want to learn more about this, I'll put a video on screen just here that you can watch next. So now these are combined, you just want to mix these together really well, cover them, leave them for around about 12 hours, and then when you come back, you'll have this really nice oil-rich syrup, which is going to be the base of our liqueur. Just give that a good stir together, and then you want to squeeze in the juice of those 2 grapefruits, which will equate to around about 150 grams. So when we've got 1 part of our peels and sugar, this equates to 2 parts, so double as much of the peels in the juice weight. And then finally, 2 parts again, or 150 grams, of a spirit of your choice, and I'm going to go with tequila here, because tequila and grapefruit obviously are an amazing pairing, very popular in a Paloma. So this is a really nice complementary flavor profile, but you can experiment with different spirits, different sweeteners, different acids, and there's so much you can do with this liqueur base. Give that another really good mix together, pass it through a paper filter, and if that does start to choke after a while, just transfer it into a fresh filter until you've got all the liquid through, which you can then bottle up. Giving this a little taste on its own. Cheers, everybody. It's really good. It's really good. The grapefruit is obviously the big dominant flavor. It's bitter, sweet, acidic, really well balanced. It's got a really nice texture as well. It's really clean from that paper filtration. And this is a really useful thing to have, which you can store in the fridge. I keep it for up to a couple of weeks in there. Obviously use your common sense here. If there's any mold, if there's any fizziness, get rid of it. But hopefully the tequila, the acid, the sugar should do a really good job of keeping this fairly fresh for as long as possible. But like I say, use your common sense. If you don't think you can get through this much, reduce the batch size, just divide it by how much you want to make, and that'll be completely fine. So now we can use this to make a delicious drink, which highlights grapefruit and coffee, which is called, I guess, the grapefruit and coffee highball. Very, very tasty. This grapefruit and coffee highball is actually really simple to put together, but the magic's really in the ingredients. So the better the ingredients you use, the better the drink you're gonna have at the end of it. Take some care, be precise, and this drink can be really, really special. So into a very cold glass, we're gonna start with 60 ml of our delicious zero waste grapefruit liqueur. And this is our base acidity and sweetness with a little bit of bitterness in there too. Grapefruit and salt obviously make for an amazing combination. And this seasoning just brings a little bit more complexity to the drink. As I said, we've got acidity, sweetness, and bitterness from the liqueur. So this saline brings a saltiness, which complements that even further, taking it into a slightly new place. And this is made by dissolving 1 part salt into 5 parts water. So 1 gram of that. We're also gonna go 1 gram of an Aromatic Bitters, which is about 3 dashes. And the reason for choosing this is the spice in the bitters bridges the gap between the grapefruit and the coffee really, really nicely. To make this into a highball, I'm gonna go in with 200 grams of chilled soda water. And you do wanna make sure this is really nice and cold since it's such a big part of the drink, and nice and fizzy. You just wanna give this a really gentle stir to make sure everything's fully mixed together without knocking out too many bubbles. Gonna add plenty of ice to the drink, and then finish off with 30 ml of the amazing coffee liqueur, which is an extra dry coffee liqueur from this video's sponsor, which is Algebra. So what I mean by an extra dry coffee liqueur is that the Algebra has the minimum amount of sugar required to make this a liqueur. This means the coffee flavor comes through really clearly without adding too much sweetness. And if you don't want the caffeine in the drink, that's completely fine. You can go for the Algebra decaf coffee liqueur, or if you want to add something slightly different, you can add the Algebra single origin coffee liqueur. What really sets Algebra apart for me is they buy amazing coffees, complement them with just 2 more ingredients, which is rum and sugar. The end result's really transparent, and that's why I love to use Algebra in so many different drinks. So a big thank you to Algebra for sponsoring this video. Make sure you check out their website, which I'll put in the description below, to learn more about the amazing things that Algebra do. And now we're just gonna add a grapefruit wedge to our highball, and that finishes off the grapefruit and coffee highball. So just gonna give this a little mix together, giving it a taste. Cheers, everybody. It's very refreshing, very clean. The coffee comes through really clearly, but it doesn't overpower the drink. It's just a really complementary flavor. Again, the grapefruit comes through really clearly. You also get just a hint of that tequila coming through, which works really well. Acidity, sweetness, bitterness, salt. This is such a complex drink, despite being very simple to put together. It's really fizzy, really well defined. You've got really clear flavors in there. Light, refreshing. I really like this drink, and I think you guys will as well. So once again, a big thanks to Algebra for sponsoring this video. Thanks to you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have, you can subscribe to the channel by clicking here, and I'll put some other videos for you to watch on screen here, which I really hope you enjoy. So give this a try, our zero waste grapefruit liqueur. Try it in a grapefruit coffee highball, and I really hope you enjoy it. Cheers, everyone.